recording part. Yeah. So, in the anatomy of winning the startup pitch deck, we have currently looked at the problem. The key takeaway is start your pitch with the problem statement. Problem hoga. There is a very famous saying fall in love with the problem, not with the solution. जनरली क्या हो जाता है कि वी थिंक अबाउट अ सॉल्यूशन देन हम लोग बोलेंगे "यार, ये सॉल्यूशन आ गया आई विल ट्राई टू गो सेल दिस सॉल्यूशन टू द कस्टमर्स नो इट्स द अदर वे अराउंड figure out the problem fall in love with the problem try to solve the problem because your solution might or might not work but the problem remains there right so the first takeaway is the problem part right so abhi problem to aa gaya now the next logical part is what solutioning part right so solution mein what are we discussing in solution very simply put what how are you thinking of solving that particular problem right now the main part is what does it replace that is if a customer is solving this problem using an inefficient way how is your problem your solution much better than the existing solution right how are you replacing existing solutions how are you improving on existing solutions right so this is a question you need to think about it say you have a solution in mind you need to say am I coming up with a better solution or am I improving that existing solution right so things like that you need to basically think about it and then ask yourself this question, right? Why is my solution better than the existing one? Is it cheaper, right? Is it more efficient, right? Or is it revolutionarily completely different? Or existing problem ke liye solution hi nahi hai, but I'm coming up with a solution for the very first time, right? So that is the solution space, right? So isme, the only thing to think about it is how do you think about how have you hit clarity of the solution, right? If you're able to put together the solution in a very simple one or two sentences, right? That means you have hit the clarity of a solution, right? So you should be able to explain it even to a 10-year-old, right? So that is why we always say explain it in one single sentence in a very simple way. Why we specifically say this is not to test your English or your Hindi or whatever that language may be. It's about have you thought about it, simplified it, and really understood the solution, right? So that's the key part of the solution particular piece, right? Then let's think about the customer. So far what has happened? We have looked at the problem. We know the solution. Now you need to clearly tell who is the solution for, right? Who is your primary user and who pays, right? Remember last workshop, I gave an example. In your college, you as a student, you are the primary user, but who's paying? It's your parents who are paying, right? So which means the college will have to basically talk to parents and talk to the primary users, which is the students also, right? So these are the differentiations in that, right? Who's the primary beneficiary or the user and who pays for it, right? And the next part is generally think about it who fits into your customer, right? So generally you can think about a customer base as a pyramid, right? So you have different layers of the pyramid. Let's assume the top part of the pyramid, we organize this pyramid based on the customer's paying capacity. Let's say that, right? Or the customer's earning capability, incomes, right? In India, it is primarily like this. Frankly, it is actually much more like this, right? It's a large base with a small top. So the question is, where does your customer sit? Right? Is your customer in the top part of the India's customer segment? For instance, CRED, right? The CRED Kunal Shah's startup has very clearly articulated saying we are going after the top 1 or 5% of India, which is through the credit card base. So they want to target only the premium niche, right? There are other companies which targets the middle segment. Some companies targets the mass segment, right? So that is the difference in which you would kind of want to understand. Yeah, mera customer kaun hai? How do I define my customer? Now the question will be, sir, in the PPT, how do I put it out as to who my customer is? I know, oh, my customer is so and so group, right? So take whatever vocabulary you know, take it, put it into your chat GPT, ask it to kind of explain, expand that customer base into a professional way, right? Which means there will be age group, there will be income group, different ways in which you can describe the customer group, right? And this is classical. When you say everyone is a customer, that means you have not thought through it enough, right? Everyone cannot be a customer, right? So which means सबके लिए चलेगा मतलब किसी के लिए भी चलेगा नहीं, right? So and primarily it indicates that you have not thought about your customer base quite well. That's the reason why we say थोड़ा सोच के put together exactly who's your customer base, right? We will come back to this when you guys have more questions. How to go into Facebook ads and kind of understand customer segment kitna bada hai. How does Facebook ads or Google ads gives you from the back end when you log in? It will tell you how many customers are there in a particular pin code, which who falls under your definition of what you want as a customer, right? So for instance, you can say, I want to target the parents of 3 years to 5 years old who has a car and who has an iPhone. You can kind of go to that particular level of depth and specifically tell that in Facebook. It will calculate how many customers are there in a particular pin code in, let's say, Calcutta, and it will tell you how many people are there. That's how you will easily get to know, okay, oh, this is how I can basically find out, right? And why Facebook? Because Facebook, Instagram, and all, they kind of cover most of the audience base, and that's a very interesting place to go and research about what is the size of my customer base, whom I can target online if your product has some kind of an online go to market, right? Okay, so I know I've spoken quite some time, so I'll take a break here. So far, we have discussed problem, solution, customer. So if there is any queries that you all have on this, this is the time. We'll just take a pause. Feel free to ask.
Yes, hi. I have a question.
Yes, Sagar, please.
Yes,
Okay.
regarding the solution, like suppose what if we are developing a solution which is already existing in the market? There are competitors who are
Mhm.
doing exactly similar thing,
Mhm.
but our expectation, like in the real world, we think that okay, we are more efficient with in compared to their solution, and we have more features and everything. So will that work as a why is it better, or we need to have other USPs as well to in our pitch?
Very nice question, Sagar. It's a very fair question, right? It's not that हमेशा हमें unique solutions ही लेके आना है, but the point is, let's assume if your customer is comparing your competitor's solution and your solution, this is where we use the term USP, right? What is your unique selling proposition, right? Why would your customer choose you rather than your competitor? उसके लिए कुछ आंसर होगा, right? For instance, you're using the word, I'm providing a better solution. Now we take the word better and we break it down. What does better mean? I can give faster turnaround, I can give superior service, I give cheaper solution, I give higher quality. It can be in multiple different ways, right? Anyway, since you're also thinking of marketing, you will think of the better, break it down to different aspects, and then you say, this is my USP. Then your whole marketing campaign is built around that particular place, right? That's fundamentally. For instance, Harpik, all the ads that we will see an Akshay Kumar or someone coming, walking into the bathroom toilet of a particular house and saying, "ये क्या है? ये देखिए, फिनाइल मत use कीजिए, Harpic use कीजिए," right? Same product, a cheaper product, but they are literally harping on the quality of their product, right? And that's how they position that particular piece. So that's one way to think about it from a marketing perspective. But from an investor perspective, Sagar, your question is very right. Right? Investor बोलेगा भाई ऐसे तो काफी लोग हैं. And if we say, sir, I provide a better service, I provide a better quality, the problem is it's a very jargon kind of a word. यार ये better quality होता क्या है? Right? So you would want to break it down to say why my quality is better, and the main thing, why my customer, my competitor cannot replicate my quality. That is, they can't immediately copy my quality. If quality is an example, right? Why is whatever you're offering, your competitor cannot copy immediately? So that is a critical part for the investor or even for you, right? If your competitor can copy what you're doing, then what is your unique value proposition in the market, right? Then it becomes a price war. I'll keep giving cheaper, then दोनों ऐसे करके then दोनों लॉस मेकिंग में चले जाएंगे. That's a
like
framework to
I
think
will
about.
just add over here. Suppose Swiggy and Zomato. I
Mhm.
don't think so. There is any difference in both their service. अब
Right,
जोमेटो को भी फंडिंग मिल रहा है, स्विगी को भी मिल रहा है। नाउ स्विगी का ऐसा क्या पिच डेक में रहेगा कि मैं ये करूंगा, मैं रेस्टोरेंट से मैं भी खाना लाऊंगा, जोमेटो इज ऑल्सो टेलिंग मैं भी रेस्टोरेंट से खाना लाऊंगा। तो
right,
एज
right.
इन्वेस्टर इन्वेस्टर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, वो मतलब क्या ऐसा करना चाहिए, बिकॉज माई सॉफ्टवेयर विच इज इन द
Mhm.
सिमिलर प्लेटफॉर्म ऐसा ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्ट करता है, सब कुछ है।
Right,
वो क्या करना चाहिए, जैसे कि
right, right.
ब्लिंकिट है,
You know,
जोमेटो है,
got your
सेम
point,
कंसेप्ट है।
right? So let's take the Swiggy Zomato for an example, right? Now, when we are talking about investors, we are talking about venture capital investors, right? The slide which I've put here, this is I've kept it in the back because typically ऐसे questions आता है. Rather than telling कि ऐसे सोचना है वैसे करना, I'll give you in statistics, right? Generally, if a VC is betting on any company, right? So वो क्या करते हैं? Let's say they have 10 investments on which they put the investments. उनके लिए 8 इन्वेस्टमेंट्स लिटरली कुछ नहीं देता है, 5 इन्वेस्टमेंट तो बर्बाद हो जाता है. 3 इन्वेस्टमेंट दे गेट सम मनी, बट इफ यू सी देर इज वन इन्वेस्टमेंट वे दे मेक अ लॉट ऑफ मनी, दे लिटरली गेट 100x रिटर्न्स. What this means is they are willing to put a high risk, high return investment in any industry where it's a new category. Let's say Zomato, Swiggy, and all those others who were existing before them. New category mein, mostly the initial winners will start getting more and more funding, and it will become a duopoly or a monopoly market. Amazon, Flipkart, right? India may, at least that's how it started off, right? You had Snapdeal and all the other guys, but right now there are only two major players, right? Misho found a separate segment by itself. So what happens is typically becomes a duopoly kind of a market, right? So everyone understands that a single player sometimes cannot capture the entire market. But if it's venture funded space, it will typically become a monopoly or a duopoly kind of a market, right? But having said that, very nice question. Zomato, when they went listing, they have their SHRP, right? And Swiggy, when they went listing, they did put together what is a pitch deck. Just have a look at that. You will know the similarities and you will know how they're trying to differentiate themselves.
वो कहाँ मिलेगा?
So just search for DHRP, Swiggy and DHRP Zomato. That is when you are going, issuing IP, you are telling the audience, ki, yaar, why are you supposed to invest on me? Which means they have a whole document as to say why you should invest, what is our vision and all that stuff, right?
ठीक है,
Zomato, Swiggy are fantastic companies from a startup. They have gone to that level. So read these documents to kind of understand how they have thought through that, right?
ठीक।
So lovely, Sagar. Thanks for that question. I know, Saurabh, you have asked about TAM, right? So now what we will do is I will go back to the presentation. We'll discuss a couple more topics, and then again we'll come back to TAM. We'll discuss how to find TAM and all the customer acquisition strategies and all that particular pieces, right? So we'll discuss those particular pieces also. Okay. So fantastic. So far what we have seen, problem, solution, and customers. So now we'll basically come to the point saying exactly what Sagar asked, right? Saying, okay, if there are others also providing the same solution, why you have a separate value proposition, why you have will win, right? So this is primarily the point what we were just discussing, why you will win. You need to justify that, right? Why this solution has to be solved now? What is the urgency? Why it has to be solved now? Why not 1 year later? Why you are best positioned to solve this? I have this kind of an insight. I have this passion. I have a lot of insight. My team has good experience in this. I am of the same age group of my customers. I understand them better. Multiple reasons हो सकता है. But why are you the right person to basically solve this? And what makes this your solution different, which is the USP that we were talking about, right? So this is fundamentally what you will have to put in the fourth segment of your pitch deck, right? Which is exactly how Sagar was also thinking about it, right? Okay, how do I differentiate myself? So the only caution is don't use buzzwords like, sir, mere isme AI hai, right? So whenever anyone comes and pitches with the word AI, all the investors, everyone has a smile कि because AI के बिना pitch भी नहीं कर सकते हैं, because then they'll say यार AI को use नहीं कर रहे, but if you talk about AI they'll be ये क्या है, ऐसे आके AI करके बोल रहे हैं, right? So it's a double-edged sword. If truly it is technology is truly integrated into your solution, then you use it. If it is not integrated, you put it in the roadmap, saying I will use AI to make my operations better, my customer better, but right now my solution is this. In the future I'll incorporate that, right? So that's how you basically put, especially the AI keyword, but don't use just the buzzwords. Really think about the differentiators, right? So now we'll just quickly look at the last workshop's topic, which was how the money flows. Nothing but business model kya hai. So now, itne der kya, what have we built up? We told, hey, this is the problem, this is the solution, this is the customer, and this is how I am the best person to go and solve this solution. That is, my startup is best position to go and solve this solution. And how am I going to make this sustainable? Right? That is the money part, right? How am I going to ensure that the revenue is basically coming through, right? And I know we are in college, so typically in college, our worldview could be a little different, where we'll say, "Oh, revenue, money, profitable profits, uske piche nahi bhagna hai," types. But if you really want to make something sustainable in the world, it needs to be self-sustaining financially. So you need to generate revenue and you need to showcase profit, right? So which means, what is the question we need to ask? यार ये customer कितना पे करेगा, कब कब पे करेगा, and who is your customer? Your customer is anyways defined up there, right? And last workshop we discuss about the different business models, right? Subscription based model, commission based model, direct sales, वगैरह वगैरह. There's a lot of different models. We discussed it in the last workshop, right? So revenue has to be a very fundamental business strategy into your whole thought process, right? We may say we want to kind of help, say, elders, right? People who are old, and provide them healthcare services, right? Geriatric services, as we call it. Fantastic, noble thing, but you need to figure out how to charge and generate revenue. That's when you will be able to pay your employees salaries, better salaries, and they will do a better job, right? So revenue is very critical in that particular aspect of thinking, right? Now we'll just quickly look at proof and traction. Now, for startup premier leagues, college students, startup ideas, we understand that most of y'all might not have gone ahead and done any field level pilots, right? किए नहीं होंगे. So we understand that you are in first year of the college, second year of the college, in different aspects of your college. Hence, you may not be don't have the fund, or you wouldn't have been able to do the actual product testing in the market, which is fine for a competition level piece. If you have done something like that, automatically it puts you in the top 10% of the rest of the competitors, because you have taken an idea, gone tested it in the field, right? So if you want to be in the top 10%, you have time, figure out how you're going to pilot your product, right? But if you're not able to do that, look for all the other activities through which you can basically get some proof that your customers are willing to sign up, your customers will be able to take this up, right? LOI is nothing but letter of interest, right? So for instance, your startup plan has something to sell for companies, right? So the companies will issue an LOI saying, we are interested. If you come up with this product, we will consider it, right? So that's just a interest letter. So that's there. You can run experiments in your college, right? So the main reason is, if you can produce evidence of why your product will actually work in the market, you're automatically in the top 10% of the finalists, right? So why I'm saying that is because obviously most of y'all are in college, you may not be able to execute it. Hence, this becomes your secret sauce, which you can basically go and crack about it, right? The last piece is on the vision and the arts. This is coming purely from a funding perspective. If you are showing the same PPT to an investor, end में बोलना पड़ेगा ना कि क्या चाहिए, what amount you want and how much you want and all that stuff. So what are you asking for in terms of the money? Where so how is your business going to scale for the next 3 to 5 years? but last time we discussed put together a 2 to 3 year business plan, right? Put together a 2 to 3 year business plan and then have that in place. And why is it worth supporting and all those is anyways built up in your um, earlier piece, right? So the key piece to think about here is be ambitious, but don't keep it to a level where it is extremely unbelievable, right? Be ambitious, but believable, right? So now I'll again zoom out for our larger conversations, right? So these are the seven segments that you will need to have it in your presentation, right? In whichever you can use different words for it, but this is typically what competition mein dekhte hain. Investors will look at it. So this is where it comes from. Okay. So I will quickly take up Saurabh's question, which is basically I'll first take TAM, total addressable market, right? You have SAM, TAM, SOM, and all that stuff. ये सब क्या क्या होता है? Just ask ChatGPT or something, you will know the answer, right? But TAM is basically my total addressable market. So why is this important? Is when you're talking about your customer, if we say, sir, सब लोग इंडिया में जो भी है 1.4 billion people are my customers, ऐसे बोलेंगे ना, then we will be like scratching our heads. How can 1.4 billion people be your customers? Even for Geo, how can 1.4 billion people be Geo phones usage? Children don't have phone, right? Some people don't have that phone. There is competition and all. So practically, you'll need to think about what exactly is your TAM, total addressable market. How do you go find this? Again, you have a feature called deep research in all the AI tools, right? You give a nice prompt, very elaborate prompt, what you're trying to do, who's your customer segment, ask the deep research tool to go and do that research, and it will come and give you a report. It's not just about the report. You read the report, just don't blindly take that report out. In the report, it will give you all the links to source the size of the market. It will say, as per PwC, this market is going to expand by $5 billion by 2027. ऐसा कुछ एक आएगा. Then you click that link, you go see the original report, and that original report is fundamentally your source for your total addressable market, right? So that's one way to basically think about it, right? So I'll just take a pause here. I know there's one more question on customer acquisition strategies. We can discuss that if you all have specific questions. Um, and Sagar is the only person who's like एकदम enthuse से पूछ रहे हैं. So yeah, Sagar, you had something on the vision and ask. Tell me.
Yes, hi. So, my I have a confusion actually. Suppose I go and ask कि मेरे को 1 करोड़ रुपए चाहिए,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have to give, मैं इसका करूँगा क्या? करेंटली मेरे को खुद नहीं पता कि मैं उसका करूँगा क्या. 1 करोड़ रुपए का व्हाट आई विल डू, वेयर आई विल पुट एवरीथिंग.
Mm-hmm.
सो अब बेसिक रोड मैप है कि भाई मैं सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग में खर्चा कर दूंगा या मैं प्रोडक्ट को और डेवलप करने में कर दूंगा. एंड आई डोंट नो
Mm-hmm.
अगर सपोज मेरा है कि आई विल इंक्लूड एआई इन माय प्रोडक्ट, तो एआई
Mm-hmm.
के लिए कितना खर्चा लगने वाला है. अब उसमें सर्वर सेटअप करना है, दूसरे का लूंगा, तो जो वो पार्ट है कि कितना मांगो और किस पे खर्चा करना है, उसके
Got it.
बारे में
Got it.
थोड़ा और कैसे सोचा जा सकता है ताकि दैट कैन बी मोर रियलिस्टिक एंड मोर एक्सप्लेनेबल जब हम 1 to 1 में हो या जो भी हो.
Right. Okay, cool. So let's discuss that because this question comes up for everyone. Even investors ask this question, right? So let's discuss right now. We are at the -1 stage, which means we are at the ideation stage, right? So हम लोग पहले जाके pitch कर रहे हैं. Now let's understand what are all the different type of fundings we get. The very first funding we typically get is what we call as a angel funding, right? So that at least the funding is called angel funding. Then we get seed funding, right? Then we get series A, series B, वगैरह वगैरह ऐसे जाता रहता है. Then ऐसे घूम 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 के प्री आईपीओ फंडिंग करके एक आता है. Then उसके बाद आईपीओ, राइट? सो दिस इज जस्ट सम टर्म्स टू कीप. मैं अभी बताता हूं कि ये हर टाइप ऑफ फंडिंग किस किस चीज के लिए होता है. विल कम डाउन टू द क्वेश्चन विच सागर आज की बात मैं अभी क्या पूछूं और किसके लिए पूछूं, राइट? विल कम डाउन टू दैट, राइट? So these are all the different types of fundings that you will start. ये एंजल फंडिंग क्या होता है? एंजल फंडिंग कब करते हैं? ये -1 स्टेज में करते हैं. बेसिकली मुझे आइडिया है, आइडिया को मार्केट तक लेके जाके प्रूफ करना है कि ये आइडिया काम करेगा. That is fundamentally what angel funding is all about, right? So angel funding is going to take you to a place where you're going to establish proof of concept. कि ये आइडिया आ गया, ये मार्केट में काम करेगा, राइट? नाउ प्रूफ ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट क्या हो सकता है? फॉर इंस्टेंस, इफ यू आर रनिंग अ B2C consumer kind of a product or some service, then you will say, I would want to ensure that, say, 500, right? 500 paying customers are using it, right? So something like that will basically come about. So which means 500 customers तक मुझे लेके जाने के लिए what is required? I need to do packaging, I need to do marketing, I need to do X, Y, Z, I need to hire interns. कुछ तो चाहिए होगा, right? 500 customers को ऐसे नहीं जा सकते. वो सब करने के लिए I basically need some amount of money, and that amount of money is what we ask as angel funding, and that amount of money is the, sorry, right, and that is that money that we will ask. This is proof of concept ke liye angel funding, right? For all of y'all at the initial stage of idea, this is fundamentally what matters, right? Now the question is, acha ye, then we'll understand what is the next milestone we would want to achieve, right? The next milestone we would want to achieve is, देखो अभी proof of concept हो गया, fantastic, I have 500 customers who used my product, half of them paid me some money, half of them said it is absolute crap as of a product, and they gave me some feedback. Fantastic, now I have a very good feedback, I know what the customers are willing to pay, now I know my version 2 of my product is ready. Now I need to start taking it to a level where I can prove that this product can sustainably scale. ये sustainably scale क्या होता है? कुछ नहीं. Now I will say my version 2 of my product, I will basically prove its unit economics. Which means एक product, if I'm selling it for, let's say, 100 rupees, I can prove that with 100 rupees, I can basically make a profit of, let's say, 20 rupees, 30 rupees, or whatever it is. Which means I will prove that for one customer, I spend 30 rupees to acquire the customer, I spend another 30 rupees to service the customer, and then I spend another 10 rupees for some running the company, the administration stuff, and I basically pocket 30 rupees profit. ये इसको बोलते हैं unit economics. To prove that at some level I can economically run this is the stage from angel funding to seed funding, right? So seed funding पे वही हम लोग करते हैं, right? And let me see how I can explain this in a much easier way. Right. So seed funding in a simpler way to think about it will be seed minus 1 to 0 is angel funding, हो गया आपका, right? And then 0 to 1 is basically your seed funding, right? So how much money you have to raise in the angel funding is to ensure that you can get your product up, take it up to 500 customers, and ensure you have enough money till the time you raise your seed funding. राइट, क्योंकि वो पैसा आया नहीं और ये पैसा खत्म हो गया तो बीच में हम लोग क्या करेंगे, राइट? सो यू नीड दैट मनी टू सस्टेन योरसेल्फ. So this entire journey of -1 to 0 to 1, this amount of money that you need is what you raise in angel fund, right? I know it's still conceptual. I will see in what other way I can help you guys understand that. But there are clear milestones for which you will raise and how much you will raise, right? So I'll take a pause here. Let's think about this, and then maybe we'll come back to the same question again, right? Cool. Others, any other questions?
Sir,
बाकी लोग तो एकदम, yeah,
sir, so basically during the preliminary round, we had a limit on the number of slides we could make. So for
correct,
the
correct.
finals, do we have any limit on the number of slides?
Right. See, in a competition kind of a scenario, right, we can't give you all too much time. So the time will always be the limitation, right? So time will be like for every team, we may say we are depending on the number of teams it's participating, number of panels, but मान के जाइए, you will have 5 minutes to maximum 10 minutes. Now this 10 minutes is not just only for the slide presentation. उसमें से आधा time होगा slide presentation, आधा time होगा Q&A. Judges will ask questions and all that stuff, right? So let's assume you will have 5 minutes to 6 minutes of time to pitch your startup idea. So slides is one of the counts, but time is the main constraint. अभी ये 5 मिनट में you can do 100 slides, you can do 5 slides, right? Now problem क्या है? It is the visual density. अगर एक slide है आपका और उस slide में बहुत text है, and that slide is too crowded. You're saying कि यार क्या बोल रहे हो इस slide में, right? We have to read through. It is literally like you're presenting a Word document instead of a PPT slide, right? So your slide count, we always give that as an input so that we are forcing you guys to keep it minimal because y'all are not thinking that way. The constraint is the time. In 5 minutes, can you tell your story among all these 7 particular aspects? Now you can, if you can tell this in 7 slides, you can tell this in 3 slides, you can tell it in 70 slides, right? It is fine. But the problem with 70 slides is it is too much information or too crowded. In the sense, बहुत फट से you keep on changing slides. It's too many slides, right? So the idea is, मान के जाइए, अब 5 to 7 slides you have. Each slide is talking about one of these things. You hold. As a judge, I look at it, I read it, I listen to you, I'm absorbing it. We move on to the next slide, right? So
Sir, and
constraint is
in the
yeah.
slide, do we just
Mhm.
keep the pointers and explain the rest? Or do we keep one, two sub points as well? Because if we keep sub points, then it again becomes crowded. So, should we keep the main pointers and explain the rest verbally?
Yes. See, in a competition like this, why are we coming to colleges and asking you guys to basically present, right? Is fundamentally for y'all to get a good practice of how to go into the world and present, how to pitch your idea. That is the first piece. In a true sense, when you're going and presenting to an investor, your idea is there in the slide. But at an angel round, we are investing in the founders, not just in the ideas, right? So we would like to hear you a lot rather than look at the slide and read from the slide. So your point is right, Abhinandita. Have only primary talking point, bullet points there with some visuals and all that stuff. But सब points कुछ सब डालने की जरूरत नहीं है. You guys can talk because that's when we get the authenticity of what the founding team's vision is. Got
Okay,
it?
sir. Okay, sir.
Lovely. Nice. So any other questions, guys? Okay.
Sir,
So
we basically,
let's yeah. Go ahead.
sir, so before the finals, we get a hold on what is exactly the time limit for the finals and other details.
Yes. Yeah. We'll give you guys all those inputs, right? But irrespective of that, the foundations of the 7 aspects of this thing is important. You start thinking, you put it together, all those things, right? So
Okay,
uh,
sir.
5 minutes is a good enough time. सब कुछ हो जाएगा, right? You guys will be able to communicate. You may feel you're communicating broken, but the judges have seen so many pitch decks, so they kind of understand what you're trying to do there. So 5 minutes is good enough time for you all to basically put it together, right?
Okay, sir.
So so that's my other piece. Just avoid too many slides, right? Maybe I'll discuss with Prabhat and others judges, and we will come back with something. We may give you some indicator of have these many slides, but I don't think we are going to reject you because you had 1 slide extra than that. We may be strict on the time, not on the slides, right? Again, in a 5 minute story, let's assume you have a deep tech startup idea, right? If you throw too many technology details and all that stuff, that 5 minutes is not the time for that, right? So you're just pitching your idea. Later, if the investors really want, they will pull you in and you will go into the deeper aspects of your business, right? Not just on the tech, just don't throw too much nitty-gritty in information into that. Then unrealistic numbers, I already spoke about it, right? Sir, I want to target all 1.4 billion Indians ki like, yaar, thoda soch ke karo, right? And your projections across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years can be like this. But if it's going like this, then like, yeah, this is nice to see, but realistically, कैसे हो पाएगा, right? So those unrealistic numbers, just be a little clear. Be very clear on your customer base, and obviously, uh, इंटरनेट या बहुत चैट जीपीटी से छाप के उठा के छापना मत, right? The authenticity is fundamentally what will get lost, right? And the judges have seen enough and more of these things that they typically know about these things. So just avoid these small mistakes. You guys will be in a good place. You all have enough time. So put together the first draft, practice, critique it yourself, put it on ChatGPT, ask it to critique it. You'll be able to fine tune your whole ideation in a good way. Okay, cool guys. So Saurabh, is your customer acquisition strategies query still valid, or that is already taken care of? बता देना, either on mic or on this thing. Okay. Generally, you will need to have your pitch deck, which is what we discussed today. Have a 2-year financial projections, right? As I told you, need to know your numbers. You need to know how much money to ask and all. So put together a 2-year financial projections. If you are an engineer, you have not looked at a P&L number and all that stuff, don't worry. There's enough and more videos and chat GPTs available online. You will figure it out. You guys are smart. You will figure it out. Put together the product roadmap, right? Product roadmap is basically, as let's say Sagar told ki yaar AI aega, but now it's too ambitious or too early for me to bring it into my product. So I have a 3-year product roadmap. In the second year, I will start building my data layer, and then I will add my AI into it. I will automate it, blah, 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 and all that stuff can come. Then be very sure of your business model. How are you going to make your money? And ensure that you know your competitors in the market, right? If you come back and say, "Ye idea itna unique hai, there is no competitors at all in the market," right? First thing we will say, "Ki bhai jaake dhoonda ki nahi." How is that you're saying that there is no one who has thought about this idea at all, right? Maybe they are not active now, but someone would have tried this earlier, right? So do little bit more research to find out who else is offering something similar to you, or just look at the pain point of the customer and who else are solving that pain point, right? Maybe you're solving it with the product, someone else is solving it with the service. So they are also technically a competitor, right? So these are the 5 things to keep in mind, right? And the rest is basically this aspect which we already discussed. Okay, so cool guys. So that's about it from my side. If you all have any specific questions, I'm happy to hang around and answer those particular pieces. And this particular infographics, we have already shared it in the WhatsApp group. We will share it further. We will refine this further, and the other details we will share it across. Right? If there's nothing else, then thanks for attending. All the very best. Do well, and have a lovely weekend. And for people who have some questions, you guys can hang around. We can discuss. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, folks.
Prasanna, I have put 2 things in the chat. Please check now.
Just a minute. Okay, so a couple of directions that is coming from Tanya is we will have one-on-one mentorship for the shortlisted candidates for your pitch decks. We will look at it. We will kind of assign some mentors who can help you refine that. So not to worry on those pieces, you will get guidance. And as I told, in terms of customers, try to meet customers, some groundwork, some surveys, some proof of customers' requirements and pain points. If you can bring in, that will be really helpful, right? That really amps up your vision and your pitch. Okay, cool, fine. Sagar, do you have anything? Anyone else has any questions? If you have, then start shooting the questions.
Sir,
That's fine. Yeah.
sir, after we are done with making the final slides, then whom do we
Mhm.
show it to? Like if there are any mistakes or something, if there are some finer
See, the
tuning.
onus, right? So the onus of getting your slides right and all those things lies with you, right? This is not a college where we'll correct it and send it back and you will do it. The mentor is there to guide you guys, right? So before the next set of rounds, we will announce you guys will have to submit your final pitch deck to us. We are not going to look at it, correct it, and come back. For some of the shortlisted people, we will share it in that group. We will basically organize some mentors who can look at it, some details and give you some feedback. But for finals के लिए, when you submit it, we are just going to take it as such more from the content perspective. मान लीजिए you submit and it comes like यार थोड़ा formatting change करना है इधर उधर, those things are fine. But if you're submitting and you're completely turning the whole solutions and all later, then that will be a problem. So we'll give you enough guidance. Don't worry about it. Right? We'll clearly give you step by step guidance as to कब क्या submit करना है और कहाँ पे mentorship मिलेगा. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
No. So, sir, actually, received your this Zoom call message in BE group. I was in BE group, so I am not from any colleges and all. I am. So, is it okay if I ask my questions because I think this is specifically for some colleges you are giving this guidance and this.
It's okay, Sagar. Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, yeah, we can discuss.
So, yeah, ठीक है. तो sir, like my product right now we are into revenue stage और तो उस cases में ही like I am looking to scale my business and I have all this information with me. Now the only problem and only confusion and the clarity which I want to get is मैं कितना मांगूं किस